Okay, the recording is started. My name is Richard Wright, and welcome to Introduction to Criminal Law. This is a 5.5 course, also known as 6 weeks of work. And the reason it's 5.5 is, as you know, we started class yesterday, and I normally don't do lectures on, well, I do Thursday, but I also got to do another class tomorrow. But introduction to drugs and crime tomorrow. So if any of you in that class, you'll see me there. A few people are in both classes, I saw. So I'll be teaching that lecture. But anyway, today is going to be an open house, and I'm just going to kind of lay down some expectations, help you guys out in terms of navigating the system, help you out in several ways. Hopefully you got my emails. You got my email that told you about this session and told you it lasts until 10 o'clock. And then also, and normally our sessions will last only till 9:30. But then you also received the PowerPoints. Did you get the PowerPoints that I sent? You can type in the chat box. I'll see it. Okay, great. And uh, also pay close attention to the announcements. We're going to go over those each week. I will have new announcements, but this first week I have a whole bunch of things in there that will help you out. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. And here we go. I'm going to do the student, well, no. Yeah, I'm going to do the student preview mode so that I don't show any information pertaining to any students while we're doing this. So now we're in the student preview. This is what you guys see. And at the top, there is these little envelopes. This is for emails. This is for your grade book. This is for discussions. That's one way. This is your calendar. And this course content, which you really don't have to worry so much about. Okay. Um, now, one of the things that I've had to do is I had to create rubrics because there were not rubrics built into this course. And I'm going to attempt to show you the rubrics for each week's assignments so you'll be able to find them. But anyway, if you click on this, then you could see any messages that were in here. Now, it should show the messages that I sent, but I don't know why it's not. It should, because I sent some messages out. I know you guys got messages from me because that meant that you got the PowerPoint. You got the welcome email too, didn't you? You got the welcome email? Yep. Okay. Um, so I don't know why it's not showing any of the emails that I sent out. So let me just, I'm just going to go ahead and just go back to the regular mode, and then you'll see the emails because I didn't get a lot of emails yet from students. Okay, yeah. The student says they're not finding the link to the live lecture. Uh, it was in the announcements, and it was also on the course calendar. And then I'll show as I go through and navigate. But these are the emails I sent out, the PowerPoints, and then this was a student that responded, and then I don't know why it doesn't show the welcome announcement, but anyway, I did send that out to you. So anyway, Okay, let's go back. This system is so weird. You got to go in and out of class to get done what you want to get done. Okay. Is this your first quarter here, or were you here last? Okay, so then you got you got as we say immersed in learning how to do ultra last term, right? T1. Quite an adventure, right? Yeah, quite an adventure. Yes, it was, especially if you came from uh, uh, Blackboard that we had before, which I didn't really have any problems with it. Most of my students didn't, but this, they say that about they got some bugs in here that they're working on. Like, for example, why I don't see messages here. Okay, so now let's take a look at the grade book. So now this shows the assignments, and it shows unopened and stuff. So you got discussion posts, and this is how you open them up to grade them. And it shows no participation because I'm not actually looking at the ones for the class. This is a dummy page for a student. As you can see, there's no face there because I do have my face on my regular one. So police dogs and warrantless searches, I will talk about that in a few minutes. Written assignment, elements of criminal law, I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Um, and then the live lecture thing today. That's what we have today. All right. And that's pretty much what we have in this class. You should be aware that in this class, there's only 2 quizzes. One is going to be week 3, which is going to cover modules 1, 2, and 3. And then the final exam, which will be in module 6. If I scroll down, you'll see it. See the quiz right there. Week 3, but you won't see one again until you get to week 6. So then in this class, there's only 2 quizzes. And so they're more like midterm and final exams. So you're going to be very careful with keeping up with the 3 weeks so that you could be ready for the exam in week 3. And then I don't mean I want to say it this way, but you don't have to remember all the things that you learn in weeks 1 to 3, which I do hope, because I want you to build upon your learning throughout this course. But when you take the exam, you don't have to go back and study 1, 2, and 3. You just study 4, 5, and 6. So that's probably one of the easiest things that you should be aware about assignments. Other than that, it's the discussion posts, and it's the written assignments that we have each week, and we're gonna go over that in a minute. Okay, so just hold on. I'm not gonna click on them to open them until just a few. I do want to show you. We have. You should see the lounge, and the lounge is where um, uh, students post comments to each other, and it has responses in there. I'm sure you have done that. If you remember from the previous court setup, it was different. Uh, Professors posted a welcome in there, but now they got it in what they call the course chat, which is here. And if you go open it, you're going to see me, and you're going to see some stuff about me and my family. Move you out of the way there, Andrew. You're in the way there. There we go. And you can then see, it's bigger for you. Then that big old picture, that's me, a young guy, 28. I'm 71 as of May 3rd. So I'm a senior. So I was starting my career, even though I had started working with lawyers when I was 19, but I was 28 when I got this law degree at Northwestern University School of Law. And that's my smiling face. I'm still smiling. And then it tells you a little bit about me. I have a mnemonic that I encourage my students to pay attention to based on the word lawyers. Whether you want to be a lawyer or not, each of the letters stand for something that's very important. And I do a whole presentation, not in school here, but I've gone to various schools as a public speaker to discuss my lawyer's mnemonic. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you when you can contact me. Do you already know when you can contact me and how you can contact me? Do you know that? Okay, I'm going to show it to you. It's on the syllabus. It used to be on the course homepage in the old thing, but we don't have that anymore. They changed that. So anyway, I'm going to show you, and it means I'm going to tell you. So anyway, here are my two email addresses. You might see a 2 in after Wright, but you don't have to. You can use the 2, and both of these come to me. This is my personal email, which I see, but both of them, if you use my personal email or the school email, it shows up on this phone, not the course mail. The course mail was not. These are the phone numbers. You could almost virtually ignore the office because I'm not there much. Well, not just because of the pandemic, but because I teach online. I teach at home. I've taught from Florida on vacation. I've taught from Myrtle Beach, Texas, even Vegas. I taught everywhere. Just grab my laptop, have laptop, will travel. And I have taught and done my lectures from there. But this is the phone number, 630-660-8480. It'll also be on the syllabus too. But anyway, they changed that so that you don't see that. And then they just show you each of the discussions for each week as well under here as well. You got 6 discussion posts. So we're going to talk about that in just one moment. I'm going to do most of the talking today because I'm trying to make sure you get the process down that I want you to be successful. So anyway, let's go back. And you can see up here. Now, just use that Thursday, 8:30 to 10. That's not going to be the norm. The norm is going to be Tuesday, 8:30 to 9:30. So let's proceed to look at the calendar so you can see that right there. I like the month view. So as you can see, the course began on the 12th. And then this is where we are today with the live lecture. If you were to click on this and open it up, it will take you down here and it will tell you the live lecture open house, and it has the link to where to find me for the lecture. So that's why I said the student that if they looked at, well, that's the day, it goes back to month. But if you click on this, it takes you to the actual day. You see it. And then so your initial post and reply post for this week will be due the 15th. That is not going to be the norm. You will see that starting next week, that it is it's going to be different, and I'll show you. So then the 16th, which is Sunday, you give the live classroom lecture phrase that I'm going to give you today, so you can get your points. We'll talk about that as well. And then your written assignment, which we're going to talk about. And then you will see from there that lectures are always on the same day that your initial posts are due. Now, you will discover in this class that I set up what we call post first, which means that to post a discussion post, I have had students says, I don't see anything in there. That's because you're not going to see anything. You'll see something in there about the assignment, but you won't see any discussion posts because I have it set up for what we call post first, which means that you have to post first before you're able to see somebody else's posts or all the posts that are in there. And the reason for that is to keep students from copying other people's posts. We want you to respond directly to the assignment. And that's why I do it that way. A few professors do it, but it was introduced to me some years ago, and I try to use it as much as I can. So your initial post for week 2 on all the way will be due Tuesdays, except, let's go to June. And trust me, we will get there quick. The course ends the 18th. So if you notice, all the lectures, this is week 4, this is week 5, this is week 6. Okay. So the lecture and initial post, so they'll all be due on that date. But the last day of class is 3 days later, which is the 18th. And then that's when I was just going to tell you that your reply post will be due rather than Saturday. It'll be due that Friday, as well as all other assignments that you will have, which includes that quiz that I talked about for week 6 that covers chapters 4, 5, and 6, the 18th. If you post something on the 19th, if you post something after 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, it's going to be not graded. It's going to be a 0, and it's going to show up in there. I don't care if you have a perfect paper. That's why I say this every week, and I'll go over it. Last term, I didn't have anybody that did it, but I have in previous terms. So the course calendar is there for you, and this is pretty easy. It's pretty routine. After this week, your assignment for discussion posts are Tuesdays. Your live lectures are Tuesdays. Your initial reply posts are Saturdays. And then your written assignments are Sunday. That's it. That's it. Okay. I would recommend starting on Monday, though, to read your materials from the chapters and also to check the PowerPoints that I send you. I don't use the PowerPoints during the lecture, and the reason why I don't use them is because I noticed that I can gain more by talking to you about some of the topics in the module and sharing some of my experiences to illuminate some of the issues that we deal with that help students to connect. And so it's very important that you understand that the PowerPoints are there to use as a study tool to help you, not to substitute reading, because you got to understand that vocabulary, because when you get to your quizzes, you're going to see how important vocabulary is. Any questions about the calendar? If so, you can type yes or no. And if I don't see anything, then I'm presuming the answer is no. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close out the calendar. Go back into the course. So now I want to go with the syllabus. And I want to talk about the syllabus. So the way that you find the syllabus is you come over, you hit view course, tools, and institution. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Okay. Right, I want to do it student mode. Okay, so I think that you can see it. Let's go back to, okay, let's go back to this. I don't know if it lets me do that. This is so wacky the way that they have it set. Enter student preview. Maybe it's this one that you use because I don't use it this way. Let's see, course content. Yeah, okay. So if you use this right here, it allows you to click on this and it tells you available tools, chat, resources, um, and syllabus. As you discover, resources consist of things that can help you, uh, such as APA guide, which I have some stuff on the home page. Grammarly, you should be aware that each of you have a Grammarly account, and it should be used with Rasmussen. And you want to check the plagiarism box because I run every paper except, when I say papers, I'm talking about your written assignments. I run them through Grammarly. So you want to make sure that you run your papers through before that. The Noodle tools tell you how to set up your writing, and then the writing guide is here. Your library, your guides by topic. Here we go. And so here, if you did guides by topic, of course, you come down here, School of Justice Studies, and you have helping you research, data, writing, APA, helping you with Blackboard Ultra to help you learn more about that, tutoring, and then criminal justice, introduction to criminal law resources. This is something you want to know for this course. And if you click on that, and it tells you some information that can help you. Very important. Talks about discussion posts and so forth. Okay. So it's real good. They put that in here for some of the courses. This course, and then that's the other course I teach this term, drugs and crime. So you have that. So your resources tab is a very valuable tool. Okay, let's go back. Okay, let's close the guides. All right. So academic integrity, I'm going to go over that video in just a minute. You can hold on. And then this tells you who our librarian is, Dennis Johnson, who's for criminal justice. If you have any questions, he's the librarian that you use. And then they have chat hours in here, Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Central. So that means that they're off now. And they're not on Friday, Saturday, but they are on Sunday from 4 p.m. to 8. So you can get help there as well. Okay. My goal is to make sure that my students know some things that you probably didn't learn before. And I try to do that the first week. All right, so now after resources, then you come here, and this is the syllabus about the course, and it gives my name, and then these are my office hours. It means just what it says. You can text me, call me. I misspelled. I got to put any in there. That's supposed to be any in there. I'll fix that. Any hour, not any hours, any hour of the day, except the 25th hour. I know grammar. I just was putting that together. You should have seen me. I was so tired when I was putting this together over the weekend. So anyway, it means it. You can text me, call me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. Don't try to figure out the 25th hour of the day. You should already know the answer to that. You should already know what that means. But the point of the matter is that I'm really committed to that. And any student that you know says, hey, have you ever had Professor Wright? Say yes. He says that you could text him, call him, email him any hour of the day except the 25th hour. Does he mean it? They'll say yes. I've had students to reach out to me very late. I'm a pastor of a church. They reach out to me on Sunday. I will call them before church. I will call them after church. I will sometimes be up late at night grading papers. I will respond if you text me with a phone call because I like to talk to students. I kind of, I'm old fashioned. I think I said earlier, my age, 71. I would rather talk to my students. I miss not being in the physical classroom, but in a way now this is good for me because I have students all over the country now. Where are you, Andrew? Where are you? What part of the country are you in? Type it in the chat. I'll see it. Where are you? Oh, Kansas. Oh, okay. Yeah. You know Jason Allen? You know the name Jason Allen? Do you know that name? Yeah, I think he's in admissions there. He was here in Illinois with us, and he moved there. The home of one of the best quarterbacks in football, uh, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, who should have been in Chicago, but I'm not going to get off into that. We got a pretty good one coming up now. Uh, Young kid by the name of Fields, but we'll have to, the jury's out on him. But boy, Patrick Mahomes, the jury's not out on him. He's awesome. Awesome. And I heard also he's a part owner of the Kansas City Royals too. So we own them though in Chicago, the White Sox, that's my team. So we've owned their go Cowboys. So yeah, I have friends who are Cowboy fans. I had a friend, I knew Michael Irvin, I knew um, Moose Johnson, um, what's Emmett Smith, um, all of those guys. I used to, uh, and then I had a friend that was from Chicago, and he played for them, and he's out of football now, um, and so. Yeah, but I used to, I never went to the stadium, but I did see them play in Indianapolis when they played the Colts years and years and years ago. But yeah, the Cowboys, yeah, they've been a force. I like Tom Landry, though. You probably don't know that name. Do you know that name, Tom Landry? Yes. I liked him, like Vince Lombardi, who I'm not a Packer fan, I'm a Bear fan, George Hallis and all those people. But anyway, let me get off of that. So anyway, the point of the matter is you can call me, text me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. I mean it. And there's my phone number again. There's my email. Notice again, it has a 2 on here. And that's the one that they usually put in there for default. So this is a reminder to you. This is very, very, very important because it is not in the rubrics, but it's very important for you to know this. Anybody who doesn't look at the open house might not learn this, but they will lose points and say, hey, I didn't know about this. I say, go back and look at the open house. And I put it in all caps because I wanted to call attention to it. You need to do research for your papers. You have library and learning resources which are under the resources tab. And then I also am going to show you some information in a few minutes on with the announcements as well. You'll lose 2 points if you don't do that. All written assignments. Did you hear me say all? Students say, does this have to be an APA? The word all means what it says. Now, let me say this. I'm not necessarily talking about discussion posts. When I say written assignments, I mean what I said. Written assignments should be in APA format. And that one of the primary things that I look out for, I see other things too, where people lose points, is not having citations in the body of the paper and references at the end for a separate page. And then the final thing is you lose a point for not providing a cover sheet. All right. And then this gives a description of the course requirements, tells you how long. You can go through and read this on your own, but it's very important. Some people don't pay attention to it. I talked about the resources tab and help you with APA and other things. Now, these are the requirements. I already kind of said it. You had your readings, which I talked about, your discussion posts. You'll have these practice activities, which I'll show you in a minute. These are things to help you prepare for the graded quizzes, especially practice quiz. You'll see one this week. Written assignments. You'll have each week one written assignment, and then, as I said, 2 graded quizzes. The first quiz, the first 3 modules, and then the second one, the last 3. I said that earlier. And then your live classroom lecture, which I highly recommend attending if you can, but you can look at the archive or recording. Now, notice the grading is all important, a total of 500 points. Discussions are 90. But notice what your written assignment and quizzes consist of. That's 380 points. All right. That's you know, I wouldn't ignore the discussion posts, and I definitely wouldn't ignore the points that you get. 5 points for the live lecture phrase. Getting it in on time, as you already know from the course calendar that I shared, and it's also in the announcements, and I discuss it during the lectures each week. It's due on Sundays, except when you get to week 6. Now, let me make this announcement up front. My goal is A's and B's. That's my goal, A's and B's. Do not ever text me, call me, email me any hour of the day to ask me how to get a C or a lower grade in my class. Don't ask me. I'm not going to tell you, because I don't operate on that basis. I operate with honor roll and Dean's List students, which are A and B students. My goal is excellence. I spend a lot of time breaking things down, probably more than some professors do, but I am one of the most hands-on professors when it comes to my students, and my faculty that I work with all know that about me. They can say, yeah, Professor Wright is always on top of it when it comes to students. Okay, so that's the grade information. This is my participation. If you need accommodations, then you reach out to your campus accommodations coordinator to discuss possible accommodations. If I don't get an approval from whoever has to send it in writing, I can't give you accommodations like more time and stuff like that based on accommodations. Okay. Now, by the way, your accommodations coordinator is generally, I don't know of any instances that it's not, but I say generally because it may be something different, but it is generally your academic dean. So, yep, I hit something here and I want to make sure that didn't go down. Okay, yeah, okay. So now I want to take a few minutes and talk about transferable skills. We have identified, based on what employers tell us, that are important for students to be how should I say, capable of performing at a high level. And there's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. And they're not necessarily in order of importance, but they're very, very, very important. And for obvious reasons, communications is essential. Written and oral communication, being able to express yourself, because oftentimes you have to testify in court, and you also have to produce reports. And trust me, I was a defense lawyer for many years. So criminal law is one of my top courses that I teach. You are going to hear a story about me if you listen to it that I'm not going to share here, but I'll tell you where to find it, about adversity as a springboard to success, and you'll find out I was a policeman, investigator, a paralegal, and you'll find I worked with a lot of probation officers, parole officers, and correction officers as well. But communications is so, so, so important. I have won cases very well, 90 percentile in terms of jury not guilty verdicts, higher than that, but in the 90s, high 90s. And it's because of my communication skills. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is so important. That's what we want you to get into the gray matter here, utilizing that brain, analyzing and responding to the issues with some thought. Don't just throw something together. We don't like a lot of copying and pasting. We want to see your thoughts in your written assignments, because when I run them through Grammarly, it will tell me how much the material was copied and pasted. And if it's a percentage higher than 25%, I will not only report it to the school, but I will also give you a warning in class. And you keep going, you'll end up with a 0. So critical thinking is very, very, very important. In fact, there's a course that I'm believing that you still have to take, called critical thinking, because it's so important. If anybody paid attention to the Chauvin case that happened in Minneapolis, they talked about critical thinking in the police department. So critical thinking is so, so important. You can go to resources and you can learn more details about critical thinking as well. Digital fluency. Everything's digital. Your textbooks are digital. Oh, okay, you just took that class, so you know what I'm talking about. I think that usually they require that you take it early. It's an in-depth class, and what it does is it gets your mind focused. I'm naturally a critical thinker. The reason why I'm a natural critical thinker is because I was a student in law school. They used what they call the Socratic method, where we weren't just given answers, we were given a series of questions until we came up and light bulbs came on and, oh yeah, we got the answer. Well, that helped me to think on my feet think on my feet when I was a trial lawyer. Digital fluency, though, is so important because all your textbooks, I have on this phone here an app that actually contains all of my textbooks. And I could pull them up anytime I want to. Let's see, Bookshelf it's called. You can probably get it in, I don't know about the Apple Store, but you can probably get it in any one. Okay, now like this one, for example, you can see this is a corrections book, but here's the one. See, there's my criminal law book there. And I have all of them. My drugs and crime book, all of them are right there. Back in the old days, we used to carry old heavy books. Not anymore. And these are really nice because you can copy them, you can transfer them, you can use them as well. So everything's digital. Even when you get into the field, you're going to be using computers and technology. You have to be able to learn how to use systems such as AB, Blackboard, or UB now, Ultra Blackboard. And then you have also Excel spreadsheets. You also have Word documents, which we primarily use for written assignments. All written assignments should be in Word, not PDF, because we can't edit and grade them. And then, by the way, if you submit a PDF doc, you're going to get a 0. And then you're going to be asked to resubmit it. And some students never resubmit them. They end up with zeros for the whole week. Diversity and teamwork. This school recognizes the fact that the world is full of diversity. There are people from all backgrounds, populations, cultures, sexual preferences, races, and we respect each other and we learn from each other. We have a council, which I'm part of, called the Diversity and Inclusion Council of Rasmussen University, and I'm very active with dealing with that. But diversity is so important. You'll work with people as on your teams that are from different cultures and different backgrounds. The way that you do teamwork here in this course is discussion forums, where you will respond to each other's discussion posts and things of that nature. Ethics and professional responsibility. Ethics. Ethics are under attack in this country right now like never before. Like never before. I'm not being political when I say that. Truth does not have an S on it. Lies has an S on it. You can't even say truths real easily. You have to form your mouth. Lies just rolls off. Ethics is so important. Accepting the circumstances. I use that because sometimes you have to sacrifice other things for ethics. Ethical principles will carry you further. I'll use the example that you're familiar with. Republican Liz Cheney refused to operate on the basis that the election was not won by Biden and that the election was not stolen, as the former president says. And they punished her for that. That's why I said I teach my children. I've been taught since I was a kid. I taught ethics in criminal justice at this school, ethics in business. I've taught ethics, medical law, and ethics. Ethics are important. And as a pastor, I don't care whether you believe in God or not, believe in whoever you believe in, but it should be with some ethics. You can get in trouble for becoming a liar, particularly if you do it under oath, and that's called perjury, and you can end up serving time for that and or losing your career. So ethics are so important, and employers want ethical as opposed to unethical people. Even as you know, the code of silence in law enforcement is falling by the wayside because you can be held accountable for not doing something right. You know that based upon the Chauvin case and other legislation that's taken place in this country. Professional responsibility. We all have canons and codes that we have to abide by, and we have to follow those codes. And as a lawyer, I had a canon of ethics that even stated, even with not impropriety, but even the appearance of impropriety. And it's so important. And by the way, while I'm speaking of ethics and professional responsibility, you're going to discover that when taking these quizzes and tests, that they're closed book. You are not to have sticky notes or any of those things around at that time. You're not to have stuff stuck on your wall, on your bulletin boards, on your computer. You're not you will mess up. I have a course I teach in constitutional law. Then there's some fill in the blanks, and I have had a couple of times with students, I have copied and pasted material that they put in as their answer, and I already know that that was wrong. No. So you don't want to be caught with that. That can get you kicked out of school, as you'll see by the academic integrity policy. And then we're going to talk about ethics in a few minutes in a video. Professional responsibility. Information literacy. That means we want credible sources, credible resources that we rely on. You want to get accustomed to using sources that are reliable, credible, and not changeable. There is one information literacy source that almost every student knows that you should never use, and you'll generally see it in my rubrics. Do you know what that source is? Starts with a W and ends with an A. You ever heard of Wikipedia? Well, Wikipedia is it. Yeah, I know. Don't ever use it. Reason we say no is because it's a Word document and people can change it. Some people say, yeah, but it has some good stuff. Just don't do it. It's not good for papers and sources. It's not very reliable. The attendance policy, I won't go over that. I do want to spend some time here, mainly before we move to the next thing, because time is moving, is that there's a late assignment submission policy. Now you need to really pay close attention to this. And if you don't know about the syllabus, you might not know it. But I pointed out to my students. It says students may submit assignments up to 7 days after the deadline. However, each day that you're late, you lose 10% of a grade. So what does that mean? Pay attention to what I'm about to say. Your assignments are generally due on Sundays. If you submit that same good assignment on Monday, it's going to be a 90 if it's perfect. An 80 on Tuesday. A 70 on Wednesday. By Thursday, it's a 60. And you're only on the 5th day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, you're on the 4th day. And by Friday, the 5th day, you still got 2 more days left, but you've already failed. So don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Now, before I get into something that will help you, I'm going to remind you about discussion posts. Discussion posts are due at the end of that current module or week, which generally is Saturday for reply posts. Discussion posts made after the due date will not be accepted. I have a different rule. Here's the deal. If you submit your discussion posts both on Saturday, and by the way, I am not talking about this week, okay? If you submit your discussion posts on Sunday, then you're going to get zeros for them. But you got to submit your discussion posts by Saturday, both of them this time. Anyway, but generally, you must at least submit an initial post by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you submit your reply post that same day, what's going to happen is that you're going to lose points for the late initial post, 1 point for each day. So by the time you get to Saturday, if the post is due on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you've lost 4 points. 4 points off your discussion post. Now, if you submit your discussion post and reply post, as I said, on Saturday, I'm not talking about week 1. Keep that in mind. So let's get this clear. I'm talking about weeks 2 through, actually 2 through 5, because 6 is different. But if you submitted Sunday, the reply post, I will give you the benefit of a doubt and give you points for that Sunday submission minus a point. But that's only going to apply to your reply. If you submit your initial post and reply post on that Sunday, all deals are off. So everybody should get that. I can tell you how many times I have students that say to me, I have this happen or that happen. And I say, please just do me a favor, do your discussion post at least. For 2 reasons. Number one, you also have an attendance issue, which you probably are familiar with. And if you don't post after so many days, you're going to be dropped. And so anyway, the point of the matter is that's how discussion posts work. I do encourage you to give detailed discussion posts. I also, with critical thinking involved, I do also encourage replies to more than one post. You won't get extra credit, but it makes the discussion forum more interesting. So now to the exception to what I said at the beginning about the 7 days and 10%. Pay close attention to this statement. Instructors may waive the late penalty or time frame in the case of extenuating circumstances as determined by faculty. What that means is me, not your dean, not your advisor, or any of them. I determine what is extenuating circumstances. I am very liberal when it comes to that. But you know what I don't know? If you have extenuating circumstances and you just submit an assignment late, what kind of a situation did you have? Some people come and say, well, you know, I had to work overtime. I apologize to those people and say, I can't give you I can't give you a break there. Now, the people I do give a break to that end up working overtime were the people, like I had students last quarter who were involved in Minnesota who were working in law enforcement or working in their jobs because of the unrest that was taking place. That was considered as extenuating circumstances because they had to put in more time. I also am considering working with individuals who get sick. COVID is ending. I'm just going to make my statement. Pay attention to what the CDC has said as of today. I got my shots. And, you know, but I'm saying all this to say is that I'm sure you who are listening to this lecture will have people you know or close people or yourself who have dealt with COVID-19. It's a dastardly illness. I lost some very close friends that are much younger than me to it. So anyway, I only mention that because we were giving a lot of breaks to people. And then we also deal with that like during the hurricane season when we have our students who are in the hurricane areas. And that's usually Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and a few coastal cities, states as well. But those are the main ones I mentioned earlier, especially Florida. And we have Texas as well, where things happen. So anyway, the point of matter is we consider that. But you know what? I gotta know. Let me know. Now, if I were you, the best way I would what would you think the best method to let me know that you have an extenuating circumstance? Take a shot at it. What do you think is the best way to let me know? Yes, or text me. Oh, I didn't want to bother you. Well, shame on you. I'm one of the only professors that you're ever going to have that has an open book in terms of that. Usually they have what they call office hours, and you can only reach them during that hours by appointment. Am I telling the truth? I know I am, because I know my colleagues, and they all say to me, wow. I says, but that's okay. It's working for me. It's working for me. My life are my students. Well, I got family here too, but anyway, you got my point. So let me know what's going on. Let me know. I've had deaths that happen, some very serious situations, and I've worked with students very seriously. Okay, don't read this part about in some cases labs, exams must be completed to make up. I don't do that. I don't do that. In no circumstance may students submit work after the last day of academic term. I already said that, unless an incomplete has been requested and granted beforehand. Once again, incompletes are in my control. And I think about it. I've had students who had problems that were near the end of the course. And then I've had students who missed, only did 5% of the work and got to week 6 and said, could you give me an incomplete? And I told them, no, can't do that. So that's the late submission policy. So everybody got that. This is the incomplete grade policy that I just referred to earlier. And then this is the academic integrity policy, which I encourage you to read on your own. Okay. So that's it for that. Then this archive, which you really don't really have, because I usually leave my announcements on the page. So where you'll see the announcements and when I posted them and stuff like that. So, but we're gonna look at that in a few minutes. But you really won't have to do that because they will be there automatically. Okay, so and then if you wanted to know who's in your course and how to reach them, this is student view. So if you clicked on this roster, you can see who's in your class. These are your classmates. So I didn't just disclose something that you don't know. It's alphabetical. Good old Andrew, you're like me. If I was you, I'd be under you. I'm right. I'm always at the bottom. Okay. Yeah, I was always at the end, even in high school, except when I was in school, I had a kid named Zemeckis who sat behind me. He's famous now. He wrote movies, Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, and all of those, my buddy from high school. But yeah, us W's, we hold up the fort generally. So Andrew, you get to be the one because you got an X at the end of your name. Okay. Some people want to write WICKS, don't they? Okay. So anyway, that's how you know who's in your class. And then you can click on it and you can see, get their email so you can reach out to them as well. So that's that's why I have student view, so you can see everything there. All right. So now I've done that. I've done the calendar. Uh, I've got, let's see, I'm trying to make sure. Okay. Let's do the announcements for this week. And here we go. Now, one of the first ones that you can look at, and I'm going to run it now, is the academic integrity video, which you also saw under resources, so you can go back and look at it. But it's going to have the words on here, but it's only 4 minutes. I want you to take close attention to this. I've kind of talked about this. So the person in here is Dean Malatic. So if you click on it, it will actually open it up for you. And I'm going to minutes and 3 seconds. Pay close attention and read what it says in here. Okay, here we go.
is academic integrity? Academic integrity is making decisions in your academic life that are based on honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility, and respect. This means being honest in the work you do while respecting the work that others do. So what is cheating? Cheating means distributing or receiving answers or information by any means other than those expressly permitted by an assignment's requirements or an instructor. Some examples of cheating include asking fellow students for answers or copying answers during a test, using notes, devices, or materials during a test that your instructor has not approved, purchasing papers from websites or other sources, copying your classmates' work, assisting a classmate in misconduct, and other violations as noted in the academic integrity policy that can be found in all course syllabi. Always ask your professor if it's okay to use notes during a test or to work together with classmates on an assignment or quiz. Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism means using another individual's work without giving them credit or taking another person's work and claiming it as your work. Some examples of plagiarism are turning in an assignment that someone else wrote, copying words or ideas from someone else. This can be a library resource, course textbook, internet resource, or other material without giving the original creator credit. Failing to put quoted works in quotation marks, or using someone else's ideas in your essays, but changing a few of the words to make it sound like the words are your own. Plagiarism is not just about written words and ideas. It's possible to plagiarize images, graphs, coding, or video as well. So how can you avoid plagiarism? Cite your sources, both in the body of your paper as in-text citations and on your references page. Whenever you want to use words, images, media, or ideas that were created by another person, you should cite that person appropriately as the source of that information.
But how does academic integrity relate to the work world? Isn't it just a college thing?
No. Integrity in the workplace starts with good practices and skills built while you are a student. Would you turn in a project document to your manager as your own when someone else wrote it? Not if you want to keep your job. Individuals can be reprimanded or even fired from their job for plagiarism. Following academic integrity guidelines while you are in school builds those skills and ethical practices that carry through to the workforce.
Okay, I understand how they're connected, but what do I do if I need more help?
If you have questions on the academic integrity policy, consult your course syllabus, talk with your instructor or dean, and if you need assistance with APA citation style or how to avoid plagiarism, contact the Rasmussen library team through our live chat or schedule a research appointment on our library website or through the resources tab of your course. If you would like APA tutoring, schedule an appointment with one of our peer tutors on the course resources tab.
Okay, so now you see why APA important. Whoops. Oops. I got to go back. So now you see why APA is so important. I got to go back and open that back up. Get back in the classroom. Give me a minute. That's one of the things about this new thing. It will kick you out in a minute. All right, not intentionally, but it does. Okay, you can't see anything that I'm doing right now because I'm not sharing it. All right, let's go back to criminal law. Okay, now let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, now you can see it. All right. So anyway, so we were looking at announcements. So we did this one. Before we do the week 1 announcement, this is the announcement I was telling you about. Adversity is a springboard to success. If you were to click on this, and I do encourage you to look at it, it's about an hour long, and it will open up this link, and I'm just going to show you just a second. It goes to YouTube, which is where your lectures are, and it'll actually tell you a story. It lasts an hour and 3 minutes. And so anyway, just letting you know about that one. So I recommend that you take a look at that one. The writing process, this gives you the structure of the writing process so that you can make sure you saw that also earlier when I showed it to you under resources. APA assistance, this gives you the place to get guides for APA, and it helps you with how to utilize APA as well. Then you saw the welcome announcement. So I'm just going to pull it back up so that you'll see. And then of course you see it told you about today's lecture. And then it also told you that starting next week on the 18th at 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. You also saw that. There also is the link to how to find me as well. Each week you will see an announcement posted. So this week, it's an announcement. Move you out the way there. So we're dealing with crime and the Constitution. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but starting next week, I will be dealing with that. And I supplied you with chapters 1 and 2 of your textbook of the PowerPoints. And then there's some activities that will help you. And I'll just show you briefly what those are in a few minutes. And then tells you about the lecture. Oops, I forgot to correct this one. That was an old one. So actually, it's actually May 13th, and it's not 6 p.m. So anybody could see that, they'd come here and they'd look at that. So week 1 announcement. Some people say, well, maybe that's why so many students were not here, but that's not what happened. And then it tells you when your discussion posts are due, police dogs and warrantless searches. And then it shows you Saturday. And then it tells you also that your reply posts this week are due Saturday. Then your written assignment, Elements of Criminal Law, due by 11:59 p.m. this Sunday. And then it tells you about the lecture, and then it reminds you about adversity is a springboard to success. Okay, so give me 1 second. I gotta fix something here. I like to do it live so you can see. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Should write out the way. No, that's not it. Thought this is, no, I'll fix it later. But there's a way for me to fix it, and I will fix it. I know what to do to it. So, all right. So those are your announcements. And then next week, you'll have a different one. All right. So now, going to module 1. I think that's the last thing I got here. Yep. Showing you what module 1 is about. And it shows the topic, crime and the Constitution. And it shows you the overview. You click on that, and it tells you the overview of everything that is involved dealing with crime, probable cause, And then it tells you about the assignments and activities that you have. And then these are actually the assignments, but these activities up here. But these are the written assignments that we've already talked about. All right. So then we come to the discussion posts. Now remember what the discussion post is. You're dealing with the fact pattern up here, and in your initial post, you're going to address, does probable cause exist to search David's home without a warrant based upon the narcotics detection dog alert within the residence? Please explain. Then this other part is, does the detective's own detection help to further support probable cause? Please explain. In your reply post, select another student's post where they've come to a different conclusion, identify and discuss the differences and why you think they were right or wrong, or those kind of things. All right. And then we have this guides, which I already showed you already, but it's in each week's assignment, and it actually takes you back here. You saw that earlier. All right. That's another way. So it's in each one. All right. So again, the initial post is due, and notice what it says here. It says you participate by the 15th, which is Saturday, and it says you get a maximum of 15 points. So the way I break it down is you get 8 for the initial post that's on time and 7 for the reply post. And then notice it says discussion activity is hidden until the student posts a response. So that means post, when I say response, they use response to the initial post. So you could do the initial post earlier. You don't wait until the end. Because it has to do with our setup, which you don't even need to have to deal with. So that's the discussion assignment for this week. Now, your written assignment has to do with this. Okay, and your due date. And here it is. You got 3 scenarios. Each scenario should be citations in the body and references at the end. You don't have to have 3 set of reference pages, 1 reference page, but you need to have citations in the body. It needs to be APA, I already said it. Each one of these, and please caption and separate them. Please, 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 please. I got a lot of papers to grade, so it makes it easier for me to grade. It says complete the assignment, 3 pages. And then you're going to deal with each of these issues. What criminal laws have been committed? Locate an example of the criminal law from your state. Make sure you cite the source. Identify and explain the elements of the crimes that have been committed in each scenario. And don't merely copy and paste the text from the criminal statutes, because you don't want to do that, because it'll take too much information and possibly cause you to run into a Grammarly hit. APA, I already told you that. And those are the things. And then there's that guides again, online library. And then it must be in the form of a Word document. Now, there is a rubric, which I think, let's see. Let's see if I see it. Should be able to come down here. There is a rubric that says add grading rubric. There is a grading rubric. And then here it is. Here's the grading rubric for week 1. All right. So here's the criteria in 1, and it tells you what you do to get your points for 1 quarter of the grade. 2, same information that was given already. 3, each of the scenarios. Should be at least 1 page each, okay? Double space. APA means basically double space. And then make sure that you got your paragraphs written appropriately, 3-page minimum length. Remember, it should be balanced off, so at least a minimum of 1 for each of the scenarios. And then notice what I said, don't use any Wikipedia. That's your rubric. Now, I've got to go back and ask about you guys being able to have access, because this should actually, let me see if yeah, there it is. Save. Oh, okay. I just found it. So now I know what to do, because they didn't tell us this. So then I go to, so that's for that assignment. So now you'll be able to see it for the grade book, because I just did that. Now I know what to do. Okay. All right. Any questions about that written assignment and the rubric? Any? Yeah, none? Okay, I guess not any. Okay. So that's the written assignment. Now in the live classroom recording, if a person wanted to find out where to find a lecture, if they clicked on this, they will see right now this. After I finish this lecture and oh, okay. Well, if you can't, do you remember your question? Or before we finish, we're almost finished. Might go a couple minutes over 10, but always write down your questions. I always tell students, so that you can remember, because you're focusing on a lot of things. So, or you can know what to do, reach out to me and I'll be happy to answer it after class. All right. So anyway, this takes you to where we are now. I won't click on it because it'll bring us right into where we are right now in the live lecture. I will be taking this out and adding the link in here, and then I will email you the link each week as well. So that's where you find that. So that's for people who didn't. Now, here are the areas that I want to show you. Types of laws, and I'm not going to go over these, but you can go over these yourself. And it talks about the laws and the types of laws: criminal law, civil law, constitutional law, case law, administrative law. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about these because it'll keep you too long, because the purpose for week 1 is to simply explain the processes that you have. During next weeks, I will go over these. And if you have any questions about any of these topics, which they're pretty straightforward, you can reach out to me about them. But I'm just showing you what they mean by that. What is crime? And it explains what crime, breaks down misdemeanor, felony. Just let me tell you real quick, very simply, if the sentence is less than 1 year for the crime that's listed in the statute, it's a misdemeanor. and you go to jail. If it's a felony, that's for 1 year or more, and you go to prison. Probation has to do with misdemeanors or either crimes that are less than 1 year. Probation has to do with that. That means you don't serve time, but you could if you violate it. I won't talk about that because that's for another course. Felony is more than 1 year. 1 year. More than 1 year in prison. And these are the most serious offenses. Okay. So, as we said here, jails are temporary holding facilities while people are awaiting trial or serving out misdemeanor sentences. Jails are typically managed by the county. Prisons are for offenders longer than a year and run by the states and the federal government. Okay? So that's general information there for you. The Fourth Amendment probable cause. This is something that I spent a lot of time talking about in the constitutional law class. And you need to read this information. Again, I would cover it here. And this is the Fourth Amendment. And you could download the text doc of the Fourth. But this is actually it right there. Search and seizure. These are exceptions to obtaining a warrant. Plain view means what it says. Consent. And then automobile exception. And then search incident to an arrest. It's another exception. Okay. You should be aware that you cannot arrest someone or either get a warrant to search, but upon probable cause, where you go before a magistrate and the magistrate receives an affidavit from the person who's seeking to get the warrant and is issued. Exceptions to that are what a few I provided below. Also, another exception is the infamous Terry stop. Do you know what the Terry stop is? Have you ever heard of a Terry stop? Yes. Okay. It's also known as the stop and frisk. Okay. It's where you do a pat down search of someone. All right. So now we get into, these are things that'll help you to get ready for the course. Now, let me see if they fixed this, because before it wasn't working right. Okay, good. They fixed it. So now these are definitions that you'll want to study yourself and be familiar with. That's for your studying. Okay? You want to be familiar with these, because I guarantee you, you'll be happy when you take the test in week 3. And then for practice, there's a little practice thing that they give you. And you can start this activity. And it says, like, for example, they give you some little samples. Click the element below that is not an element of armed robbery. And so which one is not an element of armed robbery? Want to take a guess? Which one is not? You're going to get it wrong. Armed robbery is intentional taking of property from another with force or threat. Armed robbery doesn't typically involve entering the dwelling. They call that strong arm robbery or burglary. You see what I mean? So you get a chance to continue and do The next one, identify the elements of battery by selecting the correct answer for each pair. Elements of battery. Intentionally or accidentally? Which one? Very good. Threatens bodily harm, causes bodily harm. Which one? Okay, I'm gonna tell you that would be wrong because that's assault. Because you actually have to make a touching. You'll learn that later. To property or to another? Do you commit battery on a property or a person? Yeah, yeah, not a building. And then the final element is with or without consent. Yep. So if you hit those, you'll get them all right. Nice work. The elements of battery often include intentionally doing it. So that's you go through the rest of those, and those are very beneficial. Classifications of crime. So you see how these activities now match the crime with the proper classification. Driving without a seatbelt is a what? Damage to property with a 30-day sentence. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, burglary, 18 months. So you remember what I told you a few minutes ago, and you submit that, that's going to be correct. So you can do those as well. Very beneficial. Don't forsake them. Please don't. I recommend. Famous last words of Professor Wright. And now the coup de grace, the ice cream on the cake before we dismiss. The practice quiz. Hear what I'm about to say. I mean, I apologize for being a few minutes over, but this will help you. These questions, some of them are on the test for week 3. Okay, so this helps you to get ready for it. They might switch them up a little bit. So they might ask you, and then of course you're answering these things without having gone through the materials and all of that stuff by now. What are codified misdemeanors and felonies known as? What are misdemeanors and felonies known as? Case law, civil law, administrative law, or criminal law? That actually was part of the little area I skipped. So which one is it, do you think? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, I'll do one last one. The Fourth Amendment is an example of what type of law? There you go. Then where does it come from? It comes from the Constitution. Absolutely. So those are things that you can do to study. All right. So then next week we'll actually go through more in detail as I do my lecture, because I won't go over all that stuff that I went over today with you. All right. Any questions before we adjourn for the evening? You should have one question. How about getting your points? I'm going to ask you, I always do this with all of my students. Take a guess at what you think I already have on my mind to use for the key phrase for today or word. Type it in the chat box. Any ideas? No guesses? Okay. Criminal law. That's it. It's as simple as that. Give me that and you get your points for the week. I'm not that complicated, but I am forthright and detailed. And you'll see weeks come, I'll be more detailed. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. First week out. Again, we'll do this again on Tuesday night from 8:30 to 9:30, and I'll pretty much let you out pretty close to that time, sometimes even before that. So I will, did you think of your question that you wanted to ask me? Did you? About the assignment, I guess it was about that assignment. Well, again, it is due on, I went blank. That's why you got to do this. Keep one of those near, except when you're taking the test, okay? Um, yeah, keep a pad by. I do, but then I remember a lot of stuff. I have a photographic memory. It is a little slower now, but I still have it there. So, all right. All right, well, I'll see you guys next week. Again, that'll be Tuesday night from this point on until we finish up this course at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard. I'm going to say good night to you. Stay safe.